And a happy new year to you, every one of you. Yeah, and you too. Yeah, especially you. Welcome to the show. It's the ProSynth Network Live, the first one of 2024. Hope you had a good new year, that it all went peacefully and happy, and you did what you intended to do and had as much fun as you intended to have. And yeah, it was all very quiet here. You get to this age, it's kind of like, yeah, just put the telly on, grab a glass of something, and then pass out in front of the sofa, in front of the TV, even on the sofa. And yeah, that was pretty much it. Well, I didn't pass out, but I felt like passing out. I was just so tired. Anyway, alcohol free since 4 days now. Yeah, 4 days. So yeah, we're getting there. I'm still alive. I'm not clawing at the walls yet. But we'll see. We'll see if this show manages to push me to the edge. Welcome. It's episode 196. We're getting close to our double century, which will be the end of January, the beginning of February. It'll be around that time. Anyway, not going to do anything special because it's just another show. And you might think I'm waffling, and maybe I am, because we don't have a lot to talk about today in terms of news. So there will be extended bouts of verbal diarrhea from all of us. So be prepared for that, and do join in if you can. Talking of joining in, if you want to join in, and you're more than welcome to through the chat, do stick a big capital Q in front of your comment or question, and that just helps us identify it in the list and make sure that we see it. That'll be fantastic. And of course, please do give us a like or a dislike, whichever you feel is appropriate. Give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Give us a comment. If you want to comment on the show live, it's always best to do that on YouTube, because that's where pretty much everybody watches us from. So we don't have one of those fancy kind of cross-platform things at the moment. But yeah, you can chat to us on YouTube. You can chat to us on Facebook if you're watching us on Facebook Live. If you're watching on X, you can now send your messages through as long as you reply to the tweet or whatever they call it these days that's showing the video. Then we'll see it in our little chat box. We're also on Twitch, and you can comment on there. And we tried Instagram, didn't really work. But you can find us on all of those platforms, and we use the same handle across everything, at ProSynth Network. And of course, do join us at the Facebook group if you are so inclined, because that's where most people hang out. And I just realized again, I haven't shaved. This is terrible. I apologize for my looks. Maybe it makes me look more rugged, or I don't know, probably not. Covering up a multitude of chins, as they say. So there we go. That's our social network presence. But yeah, do give us a shout out, and say hi, not just during the show, but after the show as well. If you're watching on catch up, you can also leave your comments underneath as you normally would. Either way, we get to see them, and we do read every single one. Promise you, we do. So yeah. Donations, right? This is going to change, so I'm going to put this out here right now. We're going to move away from PayPal for donations. Now, some of you might think, great, fantastic, don't like using PayPal. I know that some of you also have got, like, you set up like a monthly subscription type thing, or like a regular payment thing. So I would advise you for now to cancel that. We're not closing the account down just yet, but it's going to go away, and we'll be looking at alternative ways. So you can either contribute through Super Chat and Super Stickers on YouTube, and I'm going to be looking at YouTube memberships in the next few weeks, and maybe even a Patreon page where we just set up a simple tiered system, and we don't have anything to kind of give you as such other than the live show every week. So we might just set up a very simple payment thing. So if you just want to support the show, $1 here, $1 there, it's entirely up to you. But we'll do something. So I don't think we'll upset too many people. But for now, if you want to donate via PayPal, the money will still go into that account. But we will let you know in good time when that's shutting down, so that anybody that's got regular payments set up doesn't throw money and then get it bounced back and get all confused. So just a warning as they say. I've already mentioned that you can put a big Q in front of your question or comment for us to make sure that we see it. And I think that's pretty much all of the housekeeping done. So, without further ado, let us bring in everyone else. Let's just bring in Mr. Longhurst. How are you?
Yeah, get the bags packed. We're going to South America. We've got loads of loot.
It wouldn't get you far.
Well, South Ealing, perhaps.
South Ealing, yeah, or South End.
South End. I'm good.
Yeah.
I thought I'd better bring some energy to the show because we're at the beginning of the year, and I just can't be asked.
No, me either. It's okay.
No, I could. I mean, I've got a joke.
Go on then. Better be good.
I say. An Englishman, a Scotsman, and a Welshman walk into a bar, say knock knock, and the barman's got a dog with no nose. I don't know what happens next. That's as far as I got.
Yes. Well, don't give up the day job is all I can say.
Fair enough. I've got to afford that Genos somehow.
I know. Got to start saving.
Anyway,
good to see you, sir. Good to see
you too.
Did you have a good New Year?
We were ill all through it. We had
COVID,
nice. But it was actually
But it was great.
we put no decorations up apart from these. We did nothing special other than be ill, sleep a lot, couldn't taste anything, so it was all a bit odd. Yeah. But it was, we were together and it was quiet and it was quite nice to have the rest.
Good. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Excellent stuff.
Did a couple of synth shows in the meantime. I don't know, some sort of...
Yeah. Right. He has joined us at last. Here he is. Mr. Kent Spong.
Hello.
With his peculiarly placed giraffe of indecision.
Yeah, sorry I'm late.
The giraffe not decided about today?
It's just everything is no, basically.
Oh, okay.
Get lost. Yeah, sorry I'm late. Charlie managed to get his head stuck between the fence and the workshop.
Charlie?
Yeah. And I had to go and rescue him. Twat dog. But there you go.
Grease? Was Grease involved?
No.
Hacksaws?
No singing, no dancing, nothing.
No.
Did you use an over high mate voice to lever him out?
Just got his tail and...
So does he still have a head?
He still has a head. His hair's all facing forward now.
Is that because he can't go in the Christmas tree anymore?
No. He managed to break 2 baubles on it yesterday.
Ooh.
The plastic baubles that shattered on the floor.
Not his knackers then.
Yeah, Charlie is a husky, but a husky that's incredibly interested in the family of foxes that's living under the workshop. Yeah. So yes. So I had to go and rescue his head because he got stuck.
Has he got a nose?
Well, it does smell bad. Shouldn't it be a bell now? There it is. Spiritus Sancti, dum. Yes. Yes. So all is good. All is good.
Good. Excellent. Glad to hear it. There we go. 3's up.
The energy here.
Isn't it?
Zipping.
Isn't it? It's just post.
Barking we are.
I can't. Honestly, it's January. It's just like it's all been and gone and it's all back to normal.
I haven't had a cup of coffee since Tuesday.
Really?
Really?
I haven't had alcohol.
Yeah.
I got pissed as a rat last night.
I've got 0 alcohol Stella in the fridge. As far as I can concerned, it can bloody well stay there.
I even fall asleep in my dreams now. I'm so
what
tired.
You could have won. Yeah. Oh dear. Never. Anyway, we have a show to do. We have an obligation to our lovely audience, which is fulsome, to coin a phrase. There's a lot of them. I don't know if he's copyright. There's a lot of people watching, so we kind of have a responsibility to put on some kind of show.
Oh, here we go then.
And up until about an hour ago, we literally had just one news item to talk about. Now, guess what? Hold your horses. We have 2.
You need a better
Wow.
one. You need a better one than that.
That's what, fanfare.
Yeah.
Oh, that one's not working. I'll have
Hang on.
another one,
Yeah.
but it's not working. Go on then. Sample that, send it over.
I will.
Excellent. There we go. Yes, no, we've got two news topics, a whole two news topics, because this time of year is shockingly awful. I was going to say something else. It's shockingly awful. I've just realised that my on-air sign isn't on.
But we do have one or two more things to talk about.
We can testiculate as we often do, but we can do that a bit more. And of course, we would like everyone in the chat to maybe also lend a hand in that regard. That would be very nice. Let me just see. Oh, Mr. Brooks. Oh yes, of course. We mustn't forget. So Mr. Brooks, £5 is all he's got left because he's bought new stuff. He bought something made by Squid. No, Squarp.
It cost a squid.
Squarp. It's Eurorack, so it just goes bleep and bloop and bleh. I'm gonna get so in trouble. But he did actually buy something really nice that I'm quite envious of, and I'm gonna get the desktop version some point this year, and that's 1010 Music Blue Box, the little digital mixer recorder thing. It's fantastic thing. But he's got the Eurorack one, which is like super connected for wires and stuff, so he can make more spaghetti monsters.
Okay.
So there you go. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Brooks, and congratulations on your gig with the wonderful Grace at Head Charge on New Year's Eve. I believe Jim was also on the bill across, the years. So that was cool, and I think all of those videos are available on YouTube, and I'm sure that they'll be posted. The links will be posted in the chat shortly.
Good shows.
Also, yes, thank you, Andrew, for your donation and also for your moderation. And we must pass our condolences on. I say condolences, our sympathies to Ben Musines, who is another one of our moderators who sadly has got COVID. It's kind of excused from moderating duties, and you just sit back and sniffle and cough and do whatever it is that you're doing. And I hope that you feel better soon. So, thank you for that. And I haven't seen Andy Synth Addict in the chat yet, but if he's around, he's moderator numero 3. And he will kick your backside out of the chat if you're bad. But we never have that. So these moderators just kind of sit there and just, they do put links in the chat and stuff. So that's very useful, but makes me wonder. Anyway, there are moderators. Thank you very much indeed. Talking of other donations, Steve, Homegrown, £5. Thank you very much indeed. Much appreciated. So that's very, very nice indeed.
Thank you.
So let's get rid of that. And, look at this. Yeah. This gentleman has a thing about my nose. He wants to use it as a MIDI controller. And for some reason, it's disappeared off. There it is. There's John Carter.
Ooh,
there he
John,
is pictured in his cave diving gear, which...
Did he get back from Mars all right?
Oh, very good. That's a niche sci-fi reference.
I'm a niche sci-fi kind of guy.
This is very true. This is very true. But yeah, there's John with his helmet and his diving suit, about to dive into a cave.
Wrong show. Stop it.
Yeah. Anyway, there it is. So thank you very much indeed for that donation. That's very nice of you. $19.99. That'll pay for a few beers in.
Sorry, no,
Superbooth,
2024. It's 2024. Get it together.
There we go. So that's the donations. To say, if you want to donate, you can do so as those fine gentlemen have done using Super Chat or Super Stickers in YouTube. Thank you very much indeed. We had a question. Lovely. Nick Howes is in the chat. Question for me. I don't know why me. EX5R editor. Okay, so that's the Yamaha EX5 rack mount. Mm-hmm. Tried EX Factory and it won't play ball. Have an old copy of MIDIQuest which does seem to work. Yeah, that does bizarrely. MIDIQuest still going fairly strong. If you don't push it, any thoughts on something which does work? I don't have an EX5. It's one of the late sort of, or actually 90s Yamaha is stuff that I've got very little of apart from the FS1R, the SY22. So if anybody has any recommendations for an editor, I don't know, have you tried, I don't know if this works, but there is a wonderful free editor called Edisyn, Edisyn. It's available completely free of charge. The guy has a GitHub page, Luke I think is his name, and it has a whole bunch of editors in there. Don't know if that's still a thing, or whether it supports the EX5. But if you have any suggestions, please drop them in the chat for the attention of Nick House, because he's looking for a decent one. I know we do have 1 or 2 EX5 owners around, so if they're there, give them a hand. Culture of Ghosts, I found a Windows 10 editor for the Yamaha AM1X this week, which was nice. Funnily enough, I'm running the official AM1X editor, the Yamaha AM1X editor, in Windows 11 in the virtual machine on my Mac, and it works perfectly. I mean, it's like 20 odd years old. Well, it's what will be 2024, and that was 90. What was the 96? Yeah, it was 90. Oh no, it was 97. CS1X was 96. AM1X was 97. So what's that? 27 years ago.
Yeah. So you're running that under XP or 2000 or NT or something virtual
It would have
machine.
been
90
Windows 95 stroke 98, wouldn't it?
95. Yeah.
I remember
95.
when it was 98 a year before 98, because they sometimes did that. Anyway, yeah, and it's working fine in Windows 11 on a Mac, so it's an ARM version of Windows 11, which surprised me even more. Yeah, so God, we've wasted like 20 minutes already. This is good. Hello, Siri. Hey, no. Siri, and all my things go off. Yes, they do.
You got some toys, didn't you, over Christmas?
Who?
You.
Me? I got some. See? I got one of them.
Oh yes, you did.
A Tomatone. And that's a lot of fun. I did get something the other day, which we can talk about later. I can give you a Sonic preview. There you go. More
Genos
of that later.
2?
Spong surprise.
What have I said?
What?
What?
There was going to be a big surprise.
Doesn't sound that good. Sure.
No. Yes, indeed. Anyway.
Poor old Genos 2.
Poor old Genos 2. Poor old Genos 2. Steady on, because we'll be getting accused of gear snobbery again, and we cannot be having that.
I am an old,
fart,
grey, nerdy elitist, and proud of it.
There you go.
I swear to be a miserable bastard.
You pass with flying colours.
It's very true, you do.
Yeah.
You also breaks things and invalidates warranties.
Oh, to be, right.
Well, you should have hear me swearing at that. I can't even pronounce it. Was it an EO Wave ribbon controller, plugging it into the MX8 and killing it?
More on that later.
Yeah, the MX8, not the ribbon controller.
Yeah, what not to do with your
yes,
very expensive Yamaha montage.
Yeah. Can I make a mention? Serious one.
Go
on. I think, unless I've got it entirely wrong, but I don't think I have. Is it not the anniversary of Alan R. Perlman?
Birthday.
His birthday
or passing? No,
one or the
passing.
other.
Yeah, he passed.
But Dina posted something very, very lovely in the chats online, and I think she's in the chat. Just wanted to say huge love. I understand where you're at.
Yes.
With that, young Dina. God bless you, Governor.
And all
God
that's
bless you.
selling.
Yeah, and tell Ruperto I want his hat and his shirt.
And I want his groove and his style and that pocket that he seems to get in when he plays the drums.
The one in his shirt, or
no, the pocket.
Oh, right.
The Pocket.
Sorry, that you're talking musical now. You've lost me.
Yeah.
Funny enough, it was my dad's anniversary of passing yesterday.
Oh, well.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, my step-granddad passed away on Tuesday. And he's probably been in my life longer than any of my granddads. Actual granddad. So, yeah, he passed away. And then, David Soul today.
Old wife beater, yeah. Everybody remembers that bit.
Nobody remembers that bit. Oh, David Soul beat his wife.
Dear. Allegedly.
Yeah, he died
Yeah, passed away 80.
48 years ago yesterday.
Oh. Let's move on to something a bit more cheerful, shall we? Otherwise, it's...
I didn't realise we had an obit section, but there we go.
Dear.
There you go.
Right. Let's move on.
Come on in.
Swiftly. Let's. I think we should do a little bit of product news. We've only got two things. We need to talk a lot about this.
Stretch it out.
So let's talk about the thing that literally about an hour before the show, or 2 hours before the show, dropped. And well, let's have a look at the video, shall we? Designed by the one and only Axel Hartman and his team. This is the Stylophone Theremin. Although it's called the Stylophone Theremin, then they call it the Stylophone Pitch Theremin. So I don't know what the actual official title is, but it's Stylophone Theremin. This is 90 quid. Everybody gets a theremin. Everybody gets a theremin.
Oh God, quid. Yeah.
And it's good fun. You have to sort of think, well, if you have for 90 quid, it might not be the most robust of things, like like the standard stylophone, which is quite brittle and plasticky, but not a bad little thing for 90 quid. There weren't so many great pictures of it, so I managed to acquire some from Stylophone with an oddly placed hand. I don't quite know. Insert hand like this. Wiggle knob like this. It seems, yeah, but there you go. It's a small. I mean, I guess that also gives you the scale of the thing. Now, a traditional theremin has two protrusions. One for pitch, which is the vertical one, and then the horizontal one, which you move your hand closer to make quieter, I think, and then you move it away to make it louder. This only has the one wireless appendage type thing, but it does have that neat little slider, so you can kind of do good vibrations, which because a lot of people think it's a theremin on good vibrations. It isn't. It's something else whose name escapes me, but it had a slidey thingy.
Ondernot or whatever it is.
No, I don't think
Martino.
it was the... No,
Martino, yeah.
No, it was something else, and I'm sure our very intelligent, chatty people will tell us what it was. Is it
Otter Cub?
Name has just gone. It wasn't a Martino. It wasn't. I'm going to look this up. Yeah. It's an electrotheremin, is what it is. It's not an actual theremin. It's a slightly different kind of thing. But yeah, so it wasn't an actual theremin because they got the pictures quite good. You know, obviously with a real theremin, that's not easy to do. But there you go. But anyone
So
anyone
the
can have a
aerial-
theremin for €100, 90 quid. The aerial, I guess, is
Volume or pitch?
or
Pitch.
something. I don't know, because if you look at the pictures, and again, it's not immediately obvious. So you've got this delay unit on the right, and then over on the left, you've got this antenna pitch knob, and there's two of those. There's a mix. So I don't know whether that's the orange corresponds to the slider, I think, and then that corresponds to the aerial. But surely, why would you have a pitch knob for the aerial? Because
So it's got
it
to be
says
volume, I'd
antenna
have
for
thought, or
creating
something.
movement-based sound. So maybe it's just like a vibrato or volume. I don't know. It's weird. Very strange. Different types. There's two different types of modulation. Two waveforms. There's a sine wave and a square wave. There's an envelope of sorts, I think, and the trigger button on the left-hand side, and then this slider that allows you to slide to the correct pitches, and the vibrato. So it's very simple, very basic. But other than the video we just saw, there's not a lot of thing. Yeah, sorry, these pictures are square. This is what, yeah. Hello. Kent, by the way, is completely obscured.
Yay.
But there's not a lot else going on. It basically says antenna for creating movement-based sound, a slider for more precise notes and moving melodies. You can create drones or trigger notes, wobbly vibrato circuit, self-explanatory, echoing delay. Who did this? Actually, I know who did this. Portable AA battery design, built-in speaker, headphones and audio output, and can be used with a mic stand. I'm sure Mike won't mind you using his stand. And it's John Simpson, the managing director of Debrec, who make stylophone, says artists, musicians and lo-fi music creators across all ranges of musical backgrounds can use this on and off stage. Unlike the traditional theremin, this can be played by everyone as the unique slider functions lets musicians create melodies without the need to master the theremin.
Are they a UK-based company?
They are.
I'm going to get in touch with him. I'm going to see if we can get one to give away.
Okay. They are, yes, they are a UK company. They've always been a UK company. I'm assuming that these will probably be built overseas, but yes, Debrec are a UK business.
I want a stylophone theremin orchestra. I want that next. That's the next thing, the next big project.
That could be a bit.
It's going to be...
You'll need to shut the dogs away for that one.
Yeah, all right.
But no, I mean, look, it's good fun. It will be. It's a shame
want one.
it came out just after Christmas. Can you imagine? This would have sold like Billio had it gone before, or even Bilious. It would have done quite well. But anyway, it's got a whole year to go up to next Christmas now.
Kent.
Any thoughts on this? I mean, you said you'd like one. Kent, have you ever hankered after a theremin type thing?
I have not. Although I kind of like the look of this.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked it to have some form of MIDI out, maybe.
For 90 quid.
Well, because of the usefulness of being able to plug that into Eurorack.
Or
Thought of that. No, don't get him plugging
No,
anything else. into
no,
that
I'm not
bloody
plugging
montage.
anything into this.
what could possibly
into
go
the-
wrong plugging something into... I mean, what?
That's a whole feature for later in the show.
Yeah. No, I think it's brilliant. It's also very, very keen. It's just the right price. Just the right
Oh,
price.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Debrec have to. I think didn't they did some kind of like proper big solid thing? Was it the Gen X something or other? and it was supposed to be really, really cool. And even Mark Doty was like getting all moist about the gusset for it. But I don't think it sold particularly well, which was a shame.
Or an SPV 355, the Roland. I think Steve Smith has a couple of those. I used to have those. Anything like that.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Tannerin, there you go. The tannerin is what was used on Good Vibrations, also known as the electrotheremin or slide theremin.
Or Jeff.
Or Jeff at the weekends.
Mm.
There you go. Thank you, Andy, for that. Gen R8, that's it, of course, Gen R8, generator. It was limited to 500 units, according to Agu, so then maybe that's why it didn't sell that well. But I think when people hear the word stylophone, they immediately expect something to be cheap and cheerful. And I think this covers those quite well. I'd like to have a go on it, but I have two problems with the name theremin. I'm guessing it's not copyrighted because there are other companies that make theremins. Mm-hmm. So is theremin now a generic term for an instrument that you wave your hands at?
It probably falls into the same category as like Bunsen burner.
Yeah, or Hoover.
Yeah. Or Curium.
Or the Remin.
Or the Remin, yeah. Or in Japan, the Raymond. So the other thing, my other quibble is that a theremin, I'm pretty sure the standard definition of a theremin is 2 antenna, one for pitch, one for volume. And this only has that vertical area, and it doesn't actually say it's for pitch. It says it's for creating movement-based sound. Well, I can do movement-based sound, but I do it next door in the bathroom.
No, seriously, if there's, they're saying, movement-based sound and it's theremin. If it's battery-powered, so you could just start working with it and run away from people. Get closer to people, you see. It's get fit and theremin all at the same time.
Yeah.
Got to take these. This could have made the top synth, hardware synth, if it had been out a week ago.
Could have done.
Easily.
A semi-min, as Matt says.
Yeah, a semi-min.
I've had one of them.
Or an aramin, or a very min. But either way, deeping things are going to get better. Yeah, so who knows? But look, it's something new from theremin, from Stylophone even. It's available to pre-order now. You can actually go to the website, which is, let me just bring this up for you here. Excuse me.
Is it only available in Europe, or is it also in the States?
No, it's US dollars 110, euros 100, and
pounds 90
UK pounds. Although that says on this very website, let me just go to the page. It says no upfront payment required. You just put your email address in, and it's going to be approximately. So who knows? But yeah,
this may be one of those instruments where more has been spent on the graphics and the marketing than on the instrument itself.
Quite possibly.
But I still want one.
Yeah, it will be fun. And for 90 quid, I suppose you can't really go wrong.
Right here.
Yeah, control with your body.
100 quid.
Slider. Yeah.
Just submit your email.
Just submit your email. You don't have to put any money down.
Right.
Yet. Just put your email address in the website, and you will go onto the pre-order list.
Oh, I see. So the bit of information we needed were there are none yet.
That would appear to be the case.
Ah, okay.
But yeah,
you have to make your own sound.
Yeah, stylophone.com is the website you need to go and check that out, and stick your email address in, and
looks like a giggle.
Go on the pre-order list.
Hot news, eh? We're really killing it this show so far. Oh,
could have been a GNOS 2 firmware update is all we had to talk about. So I think that's actually quite an improvement.
Yeah, it is.
What had the firmware update?
GNOS 2.
Did it?
Yeah. Well, it could have done.
Oh, it could have done.
Yeah, it could have done. Might have had.
Nobody would know.
Who'd know? Somebody'd have to buy one to find out.
That's the noise of all the people rushing to buy the Genos 2.
Yes. Not at that price, mate. I'm
I
sorry.
hear they're catching fire if you pour petrol on them and ignite them.
See?
Apparently so.
Yep.
Grey, old,
Don't
Genos.
Smelly.
Gear snobs.
Yes. Talking of
so there
which,
you
have I got some photographs for you, mum and man?
Oh.
Suit you set.
Ooh. Would these be small photographs or maybe tiny photographs?
Oh, no, big photographs.
Oh, big. No, but
Very big things.
But with a tiny element. I'm using the.
Oh, yes, absolutely. No, we can use his name openly.
Oh, okay.
That's why I was going, what? Huh?
Okay. I'm never sure.
No, I'm never sure. But apparently, yes, it's all right. It's all out in the open. I don't have to be Steve, whatever he called me.
What?
Long story.
Okay. For another time.
For another time. Yeah.
Will there be a PSN modded firmware for the Genos 2? Yes, we're going to strip all the code out.
No. All we're going to do is take all of the automated rhythms out and then beat people until they learn how to play. See? Grey, old.
Oh, we're going to get into so much trouble.
Anyway, how can people call us gear snobs when all we've got? I mean, look, Ken, all he's got is an M8X that kind of works, an Oberheim 8 voice, a CS80, a Hydra synth. You've got a DX1 and a rank upon rank of lovely Fairlights, and I've got. How can people
if only
say
I owned
that?
them.
Sorry?
If only I owned them.
Well, this is true.
But
So
we can deal
anyway.
with the snobbery because we've got some lovely little things to show in a while.
Interesting question from Nick House, which I will bring up very shortly because it will give us something to talk about. Whilst we're doing that, we might as well just get rid of the other piece of news and then we can just relax and get on with it. Yeah, not that kind of relaxed.
Oh, sorry.
So, yeah, thanks, Andy, for posting the link in the chat if you want to go and pre-order your Theremin. And when we say pre-order, there's no money down. It's zero down, as they say. Go for it. Yeah, so,
Nice.
right. Okay. There is another piece of new hardware news for us to report on this week. And actually, this one I kind of like. But then, lots of people will say, well, you would. But this is rather cool.
Revive the sonic sensation of the golden era. Mega Synthesis!
There you go. This is the new Liven from Sonicware. It's the next one in the Liven range, and it's called the Mega Synthesis. What is the Mega Synthesis, I hear you ask? Well, the Mega Synthesis is essentially the sound engine from a Sega Mega Drive, or for our American cousins, the Sega Genesis. It contains three sound generating systems. One is a recreation. It's not an actual YM2612 FM chip, but it's a recreation of that same chip. There's a recreation of the programmable sound generator chip, which is a TI SN, and then 5 numbers that begin with a 7, and I can't remember off the top of my head. And then there's also an 8-bit PCM engine as well for those crunchy rhythm sounds. This is basically a Mega Drive Sonic Studio. And the Sonic, because Sonic's theme creator, Yuzo Koshiro, has been involved in creating patterns and presets for this as well. So they've got a bona fide... what's this? Typical of a snobbish show. Let's feature the caviar synth. It's such snobs. Koshiro wrote the music for, I believe, Streets of Rage, Sonic the Hedgehog. I mean, the list. If you just Google him, call up his Wikipedia page, it's this massive list of video games that he made music with, using these kinds of not the Liven, but obviously the Sonic Generation stuff. Now, of course, the Mega Synthesis, which is a great name, also has all the benefits of Liven's built-in sequencer and expanded polyphony and all of that kind of stuff. And the chiptune scene is pretty big. There's lots and lots of people who love making chiptune music, and this is just for anybody that wants to make that kind of late 80s, early 90s sound, this is perfect. $239. First batch sold out within. It was announced UK time at 11 o'clock last night. I know because I had to stay up to make sure that the thing got published, and it sold out its first batch already. So $239, which is what, 199 quid? Thereabouts. Pretty cool for one of these little boxes, and they are great boxes. The Livens are really very interesting little units, and this one, I think, and they've, although mine hasn't arrived yet, they have simplified the UI, because that's one thing they got fairly criticised for. So they have simplified the UI somewhat. So that should be quite cool to try. It's got battery operated and mains operated. Has sync in, sync out, MIDI in, MIDI out, audio in, audio out, built-in speaker for portability. Just a cool little thing if you're into that thing. I've been listening to the demos and just been getting a proper retro buzz, from all of those wonderful old video game type things. So, thoughts on this one, gentlemen, and try and string this out, would you? He's deferring to you, I think.
Let me tell you what I think. So 200 and how many was it that's been pre-sold?
239 of your US dollars.
Right, so 200
free shipping.
Free shipping, right? So 239 have been, and the collective noun for that is an annoyance. I understand people will want to buy this. I really do. I get that it's a really big thing. And if 239 people have bought it, I really hope they all get locked in a room with lots of sound padding somewhere so I don't have to hear it. It's awful. But, there's a lot of people will love it. And it's got a very sophisticated but simple user interface to annoy people with. If you turn it on, you'll annoy them more, almost. No, you won't annoy them more than if you hit them in the head with it. It does work underwater, I think. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful thing underneath a skip full of gravel in the bottom of a pit surrounded by water and nuclear waste. So I think it's a great thing. Great thing. I don't have a bad word to say about it. Not one.
Would you like to add to that, Ken?
I know this 8-bit, 12-bit sort of chiptune thing is very popular at the moment, as you say. Like, Suicide is at Christmas. But I'm really not... This isn't me. It's not for me. It's not. It's not.
No, I wouldn't expect it.
I can understand why people want it, and fine, great. Yeah, it looks like fun and everything. If you're into that kind of thing, just really not.
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of people who are into that kind of thing.
Great.
There was one. Yeah. So I am on a Discord server, which is it's not an official Sonicware Discord server. It's just like kind of a just users thing, and there were some people asking very, very detailed questions. I mean, because they really go for that authenticity thing.
Yeah.
And I'll read some of it. I can't read all of it because we'll be here forever. But some guy was asking some incredibly detailed questions. I'm thinking, why?
Does the EEPROM have the little window in it?
Oh no! Just wait. Get a load of this. So question 1 was a real SN76489, which is the Texas Instrument chip that is the sound generating program, SGP, whatever. Anyway, it has 10-byte precision for pitch input. This makes it very out of tune in higher octaves. Does this feature? Is this feature retained in the Liven, or perhaps they've improved on it? Similar question about the range with the 3. Well, I'm going to say he's put 3,579,545 hertz clock. So I read that as 3,579,545 hertz clock. That it was fed in the Sega Mega Drive. The SN76489 lowest in-tune usable note was A2, possibly flat A2. Is this retained, or does the Liven give it a big... I mean, these are the sorts of questions that they're asking. They're very precise and specific. They want authenticity. It is worth pointing out that this Liven box doesn't contain chips, those original chips. It contains software recreations of them.
Yeah.
But to my ears, it sounds... I mean, it can't really be that hard to make that sound. And there have been other instruments that have attempted similar things, such as Twisted... Was it Twisted Electronics, the Mega FM, which was originally based, I think, on the 26... where is it? Yeah, the 2612. But then they ran out of those chips and then had to use something slightly different, although it was very similar. But that actually uses proper chips, and it's just the FM part. It's not the other bits. One is on its way. I'll have a damn good play with it. I probably won't make much music with it, but I'll have fun.
Back around about 1989, 1985, the first thing I did for Sony, but around about 1989, I think it's around about 1990, I got commissioned by one of these companies to actually do something significant with some of these sound chips, and one of them was this, for a company who shall remain nameless, but I spent... they were going to pay me a decent whack of money, and I spent an age learning how the sound architecture and everything else worked, and trying everything I could to make it not sound like everything else, trying to make it sound like a synth, trying to give it those characteristics, the decay and everything else, and it always just sounded awful. And I can remember very clearly the day when I rang them up and said, "Look, come and take it away. I can't take your money because I'm not, this isn't for me." And it drove me nuts. So my view on this may be somewhat partial, to say the least. And I thought it would be simple to do something because DX5, I had a DX5 which I knew how to work. No, I didn't. I just didn't get on with it then. And the sound, really?
But I spent so many hours between the years of, I don't know, I mean, the late 70s through till today, with my head stuck in video games. But with this particular stuff, I bought a Mega Drive when it came out. I sold mine. I had a Mega Drive and I had a multi-Mega, and I sold that, and I should never have sold that, but I sold it. And thankfully, and very fortunately, our friend BG Ollie sent me a Mark I Mega Drive last year, which I haven't got around to setting up yet, but I'm very happy. And as he says in his comments, it's actually easier to MIDI an actual Mega Drive. And I thought he'd be a fan, but he doesn't appear to be. But I remember back then in 88, 89, when the Mega Drive first came out, being this was brilliant. We'd not had video games with music as fun and as all right. So it all kind of sounded the same because they're all using the same instruments. But there were some incredibly good programmers back then.
When you're playing it, so I remember playing these games as well. When you're playing it, you don't really notice just how sodding awful and insidious it is. Hearing it outside, I remember sitting on tubes and on buses and all sorts of things. People wearing you're playing their whatevers and headphones on, and this sound coming out continuously, and wanting to punch people very, very hard indeed. It's just so I am somewhat partial.
But again, having walked around countless arcades in the early mid '80s that were using similar sorts of sound generating things, it's ingrained in my brain that this is the sound of video games, and I still have an affection for it, even though it's not really my cup of tea, and I don't necessarily listen to music that purports to be chip.
Get a theremin.
Theremin, indeed. But yeah, there you go. I think again the Live-Ins are little niche products in a common platform, and that they're not for everyone. But there's going to be clearly they've sold their first batch within under 24 hours, and that wasn't a batch of 50. I mean that will have been a batch of at least 200, if not more, maybe 500. And they've sold that out in less than 24 hours. There is a market, and
there's a huge market for it, and there's
yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people will get great joy from it, as they will from a Genos.
Indeed. There is also something else that we might as well talk about now. I'm just going to unplug that because I don't want to break anything. But there is something else coming from Sonic where very soon things are going to start shipping soon. But here is
dun, dun, dun.
the ELZ1 Play.
Smiling.
Which is metal. And I think if you hit somebody with this, you might kill them. So it's got some heft to it. Also, battery operated as well as mains powered. Full-size connections on the back for audio and MIDI and sync, and there's a SD card slot on the back and USB-C for data transfer and what have you. And I've only had this a couple of days now, and I've been programming sounds and patterns and what have you, and stupidly I forgot to press the save button because I thought storing the name would save it, and now you have to press a specific little button. So I'm just trying to put the mains in. But I can tell you right now, this is a lot of fun. A heck of a lot of fun. And that little pattern you heard earlier is its physical modelling string engine, which I think sounds really, really nice. But it's also got lots of other cool engines, like this super oscillator. What else have we got here? We've got this is the wavetable, and they've got another wavetable engine in here where you can actually dig into, and they've got a little spade in the wavetable that you dig into. You've also got FM, which is lovely. You've got sand flute. Loads of lovely effects on here, as you can obviously hear. And you can dig into move through the wavetable and then dig in at a very specific point. We should do a proper video on this. But it is very nice. Built-in speakers as well. You've got a pattern sequencer on there. You've got A 4-track looper, audio looper. What else have you got on there? Multiple envelopes, lots of effects. You've got modulation effects, overdrive effects, distortions, that kind of thing. Delays, reverbs, shimmer.
Aftertouch.
Not aftertouch on the keyboard, but I'm not sure. I haven't tried aftertouch on an external keyboard.
I think it does.
But yeah, it's not the keyboard on this is your typical Sonicware kind of, you know, the little lozenge type things, and they are velocity sensitive, but they're not aftertouch. But yeah, it's a cracking little thing, and once you kind of get your head around the paradigm, so to speak, you know, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, they start shipping to the first batch of pre-orders. I believe, was it the end of the month? I think. And for those of you who have pre-ordered it, when you go into the main menu section at the very bottom, second from bottom, there's an option called Special Thanks. And if you go into that, everyone that funded this on the funding is listed. And yes, as I'm going through the list here, I see the likes of, let me just flick through, there's some familiar names in here. For example, there is an Andrew Longhurst in here.
Yeah.
Oh.
There isn't, where is it? I've lost him now. It's quite a long list. Wagoo's in there, but not under the name of Wagoo. It's under his actual name of Daniel. He's in there. Andy Synth Addict is in there as well. Yeah, I was flicking through those names and thinking, oh, I know them. Oh, I know them. And I know them. So yeah, you're all listed in here. Daniel Atkins, there he is. I don't know.
That's very smart of them. Very smart of them.
Well, it's a nice little touch.
It's a nice thing. Yeah, yeah.
You know, all those people that made this kind of happen, you know, from a financial perspective. I was trying to see if there's anybody else I know. Thing is, I can't really hold this. Or maybe if I do, I'm just trying to find you, mate. You were in here. I know you were because I saw you.
You've got it.
There. Oh, and Stephen Smith's in there. I'm assuming. I know Stephen and Smith are fairly, I want to say common.
Rare.
Well,
Rare.
My wife's maiden name is Smith, so I have to be careful. Right. I don't know if you can see. I'll spoil the surprise for you. Get it to focus in. You're the one that's highlighted.
Ah!
There you go.
Ah, look at that.
He's there. So I think that's a very nice touch.
The font should have been fatter.
Well,
thing is, we know that there's going to be some delay on these being shipped just because of everything that's going on in the Middle East. Ships are having to now transit around the Horn of Africa and come back up. So that's adding
they've all got the horn.
time and cost to delivery, which is a pain. But I'm still... Go on.
No, I would say the one thing that Sonicware are very good at is honouring their prices. So even if it does cost them a little bit more to get these things out, I don't think there's going to be any comeback. They're not going to be saying, oh, it's going to cost us more, give us some more cash. So I was just trying to find Andy. This is, it's a quality piece of gear. I'm really enjoying it. So if anyone, it is Stephen. If anyone has pre-ordered one of these, get excited because this is great fun, and I can't wait to actually stick this in a bag and take this with me somewhere and have a play.
Do you remember when we first reviewed this, which was back with what's her name? We had her on the. Sorry.
What's her name?
I'm just trying to remember the name of the very talented keyboard player. Plays with.
Flo.
Flo, that's it. So we had her on the show, and this came up then, and I remember we were talking about it on the show, and weren't sure quite exactly what it was, but I was just intrigued then. And I think the thing that I said at the time, and she bought into it as well, was the idea of being able to take something that complex with so many sound engines, anywhere with you in the time. You could almost put it in your pocket, not quite, but take it with you anywhere, so you could start composing and programming and coming up with sounds and whatever. And I'm just as excited about it now as I was then, if not more so. I just think it's a really, really good thing.
Yeah. It's just lots of fun. And it comes up with like 256 preset voices and a whole bunch of preset patterns, and there's even I think some of the loops are. Is there some loops in here? I think there might be some. Oh no, there's no loops preset in there because they're audio loops. I did program in one myself, but I forgot to hit the save button, which was silly. Anyway, more on that in the coming weeks, I would say.
When I get one, we can possibly do a duet.
Andy was asking, is there a case? It doesn't come with a case, which is a shame because it ought to. If it's a portable thing, there should be something that comes with it. The other thing I noticed is that because it's this metal, I guess this is what do they? How do they coat this? I don't know, but it picks up finger marks quite easy. They come off, it's just a gentle rub. But I did notice in the light that, sort of fingery on. But the screen's nice and big for what it is. It's a good little thing. Also, it's worth pointing out that, and they maybe Sonicware can do something along these lines as far as cases using this outlet. Let me just bring this up onto the screen here. So this is the Sonicware website, which is, I think it has been put in the chat already. It's sonicware.jp, and then you can just click on the link and it will take you to the particular page. That's another thing we didn't mention. It's a 6-track sequencer, so you can have 3 tracks for the FM, 2 tracks for the PSG, and then 1 for the PCMs, which is mainly used for drums and effects. So, that's all there. But they've also got a very nice little web store, which now comes with clothing, Mega Synthesis hoodies and T-shirts, although they are rather expensive. But you can pre-order your Mega Synthesis through there, and your sample tracks and your Lo-Fi 12s, which is coming soon. Again, that's something else to look forward to. But maybe they can do cases on there. You can also get the rest of their range and power supplies. Now, the power supplies are quite expensive from them, but you can get them. And overlays, replacement overlays for your things. So they have a web shop, so maybe they'll do some cases. I've got an XFM case for the Liven, which can be used for any Liven, I guess. There we go. And that, we managed to get to halfway through the show with 2 pieces of news.
How much?
For
that?
Oh, for the ELZ1. The price changed, didn't it? Because they had... What did you pay, Andrew, if you don't mind me asking?
Apparently he does.
Okay. According to the Sonicware website, you can pre-order one for £482 and 83 pence.
Not bad.
It's not bad for what you get.
It's not bad at all. No.
And you can still get the regular version, which has white and grey keyboard keys, or the model that I've got, which is the limited black edition, which is somebody put on the. This made me feel really old. Somebody put on the Facebook group, "Oh, yours has been murdered out," and I said, "Murdered out? What does that mean? Do you know what murdered out means?"
No.
It means it's been made all black.
Why did you say that?
Apparently murdered out. It's very...
Should we tell Robbie? Should we tell Andrew he's muted?
No, just leave him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What a wanker I am. Is it better, honestly, sounding than the 8 voice behind you, Kent, do you think?
That's a matter of taste, to be honest.
It's very true.
It ain't going to do 4 tracks. It doesn't do looping very well.
pile of rubbish, isn't it, really?
And imagine that sat across my lap in bed is going to hurt a lot more than that will. So,
And you'd have thought they'd have built it so it was more lateral. They've built it sideways. Why have they done that?
I don't know.
Vertical
I've never
sit.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
Are they mad?
I mean,
Would
getting
you-
the right kind of
seriously?
chair is a nightmare.
Are you tempted by one of these now at all, young Kent?
Yeah. Yeah, this particular thing, yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
I want to see how it works with this particular thing.
Because it'd be nice to have something to play in bed at 4 o'clock in the morning when I wake up again.
Nice. Are you running up that hill?
Could be, couldn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good sounds. I mean, just really good sounds.
I love how far reverbs have come
Mm.
for smaller, cheaper gear.
Yeah. Mine came from Edinburgh.
Did it?
Yeah.
That's quite a tale.
Mm. Well, he came via the B4793. Hello. Yet another one.
Very good sound.
So it's a really good sound. I like it. I love it, though. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Can't wait to
Yeah.
get it.
Okay. There's somebody we can't kick out because they're on Twitch. That's okay. We'll ignore them. Sorry, that's just put me off there. Whilst we were chatting,
Twitch
we've had
puts a
some
lot of
lovely
people off.
donations. Half call.
Wee.
Half call.
Half
$20.
call.
Thank you very much indeed. And our good mate Stephen
Yeah,
from
bastard.
Australia.
Stick a smarty
Yeah,
up your arse, mate.
At the end of every sentence goes up.
With an inflection, like it's a question.
What's the question? All bloody time.
Super sticker.
Got funnel webs that side as well, remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The big funnel web.
20 Australian
7.9
dollars.
centimeters.
Thank you very much indeed.
Mm.
So there you go. Sonicware, doing stuff. Like it or not, it's cool stuff. And well done to Dr. U Endo for getting the ELZ1 play produced. Is one of his little passion projects. The reason it exists is because the original ELZ1 can't be made anymore because those components just aren't available anymore. So they decided to redesign the whole thing and then expand upon it and give it all this extra stuff. So that's why that exists. And I was always disappointed that I missed out on the original ELZ1. So now I'm not too bad.
ELZ1.
John Carter, I did notice you asked a question. I've lost it now, but it did stay in my head. You're wondering where to get DX5 T-shirts from, because obviously you've probably seen me wearing a Yamaha DX5 T-shirt. The truth is, the man who made that T-shirt no longer makes the T-shirt. So if I told you, it would be useless information.
You can have my DX5 instead if you like.
You can buy a DX5 from Andy.
There you go.
So I'm sorry, I can't help. But the lovely man that made those T-shirts no longer makes those T-shirts. And so I'm having to make them last. I've had them a few years now. They're starting to crack a little bit. So I need
If you take photographs of the DX5 logo-y thing you've got on it, I can probably convert those into a graphic fairly quickly and easily and simply.
Well, I might have some actual large image files somewhere.
Oh, brilliant.
In my little repository.
I might have a
So
chat with
lovely.
my T-shirty person down the road
Yeah.
here.
And also, other people have been asking me about these. And where can they get them? And
I'll get mine from the cupboard.
Yeah, I've got a little stash behind me here. But again, this is one of the things that we're going to be changing, or not changing, sorting out this year is T-shirts.
Merch.
Yeah, Matt says, so Jeff Toman was the guy that did the T-shirts. Jeff's retired now. He used to do some amazing synth bodywork restorations as well, and recoverings and stuff. If you can get those files, if he doesn't mind giving you those files, then yeah, I'm sure we can sort something out. Anyway, where were we going? These t-shirts, yes. Watch this space is all I can say. We are going to do something using a service that everybody can use globally and pay local shipping taxes, shipping costs and taxes if necessary, rather than UK stuff, because obviously the guy from Viper Graphics wasn't able to kind of do specific deals on shipping to the US, and therefore it cost a lot of money. So we're going to take care of that. That's this year. We're going to sort all of those little things out. So thank you. And we've already got sales. You see, I'll buy a Process Network. Oh, hang on. You'll buy a Process Network in a heartbeat. You want to buy the whole thing, the kit and caboodle, the
Make
show.
an offer.
Yeah, make an offer.
Make an offer
that I can refuse. And I probably
15
won't.
pence, 16 pence.
Ooh. There is some
Going
news
in
about
high.
that coming. We'll wait until towards the end to do that. But yeah, let's. At what point do merch T-shirts get retired? That's a very good question. I've put my Crane Song Flamingo AES merch shirt into the home.
No.
I wear them until I can't wear them anymore. Either they're falling apart or I have expanded. Because I will, hopefully, fairly soon.
Look, because I came into the show late
Go on then.
and missed the beginning bit, I'm not aware of if you made any other announcements at all.
No.
You haven't?
Not yet.
Okay.
Okay. We'll do that. We'll do that a little later.
Okay.
Okay. Nick Hauser just said Imposca 2 is free with Beat Magazine this month. Wasn't it free with something else just towards the end of the year last year? I think it was free with Computer Music.
Wow.
Wasn't it? So
The controller isn't, by the way.
the controller, the software is, and that's a damn good synth. It's a mighty
It is a good
It's an
synth. I like
amazing
it.
synth.
and I'm wondering if the fact they're giving it away free means that maybe somewhere down the line, Imposca
Couldn't
3
possibly say.
Couldn't possibly say. There was a question. So this will give us something to chat about for a little while. And I know you guys had a couple of things as well. But Nick Howes had a question that kind of relates to what you guys were talking to me about before we came on air. When a hardware synth becomes obsolete from the manufacturer, thinking like Roland's Varios system, should they be forced to put the driver code stroke firmware into the public domain? Now that's a pretty good question, because there are plenty of old synths that had software editors, programmers, firmware, or even just firmware code that can be analyzed and then updated by third parties. If a company's no longer making that synth and they're no longer using that technology, and that technology hasn't maybe been taken and revamped to something else, so it's completely dead. Should a manufacturer be forced or obliged maybe to make that code available freely in the public domain? I know some have done it, but it's not very.
So most of them keep them on their servers for years afterwards anyway.
I know with things like editors and stuff, there's always somebody who's got the CD-ROM that you used to get with, or the 3.5-inch floppy, or the 5.25-inch floppy, and that data is often available on the internet if you look in the right places and do if your Google foo is worth its salt, you should be able to find the stuff. I know I did. But what do you reckon? Should I mean, Andrew, you worked for EMU for a while,
Among others.
EMU as a company don't exist anymore. Obviously,
They do.
Dave's doing his own thing.
They do exist, but they just don't do anything that's not essentially Creative Labs.
Yeah.
And they have all of the hardware and software firmware, all of the patents as well, that they came up with, many of which cover so much of things like mobiles, MP3 players, as well as playback of playing music back, at a different speed but keeping the pitch the same, all that kind of stuff. So it still sort of exists, and it's owned by Creative Labs. And the question is, should they be forced to release that? I don't think you can force someone to do that. I think it would be really good if the Musical Instrument Manufacturers Association, or whatever it is, tried to come to some sort of agreement on that, a gentleman's or a ladies' or whatever agreement, whereby if you're end-of-lifing something, you make the code, if there is code or schematics or something available. But then everyone jumps on top of you if it's schematics, and they say, "Well, Behringer, what a bunch of bastards!" So it's an odd area. There is still intellectual property there. Maybe the owners are still trying to find someone that might buy it or whatever. My own feeling is, if you've end-of-lifed something and you're no longer doing anything with it, I would want to make it available to people. I would want to. Yeah. The other reason why manufacturers don't is because, especially with the pace of change there is now, I know, there's patents that I can't discuss that are out there for technologies that were dibbed into, lots of money behind it to try and make it work. The whole project folded, but the patents are still in the names of the people that came up with it. And those technologies have ended up at different times being used by other people, where all the time and effort they put into the original thing, which is no longer relevant, can be recouped by going to one of the other companies that are using that technology and saying, "Oh, excuse me, I've got a patent on that." It's a pain.
Actually, Head raises this point here. So I'd rather have a law that makes manufacturers support an update for a minimum period, and that exists in the automotive industry, where a manufacturer must support a vehicle. Certainly in the UK, as far as I'm aware, and I think it's actually an EU thing that the UK adopted before it went stupid. If you end of life a car, as a manufacturer, you must still support that car in terms of parts and technologies for 10 years. So
if you were to load that onto a small manufacturing, a small developer, most synth makers are small businesses.
Of course, yeah.
Ignore the Yamahas and whatever else, but most of them are small businesses. You do that, that would be a really big financial anchor around your neck, and it would start adding to the cost and insurance and all. It starts making things a lot less economically attractive. But can we persuade them generally to make this stuff available? In fact, an awful lot of synth manufacturers I know, if you ask them, they'll kind of say, "Well, yeah, here you go." It's really just about who owns it and what the legal status of it is. Yeah. But I'd want to make that stuff available to people.
Yeah. Do you have an opinion on that, Kent, before we move on to another topic?
No, I think Andy's covered it, basically.
Okay, so one thing that you guys have been talking about this week behind the scenes was the fact that people are bringing these vintage recreations of synthesizers, these modern versions of vintage synths, in for repair a lot more frequently, apparently, than the original OG hardware from back in the day. And they are now reverting back to buying the genuine vintage model, because it's just more robust. Is that? Have I summarised that?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, are you finding that a lot, Kent?
Yeah. Yes. Not specifically any particular model or manufacturer, but generally, the SMT stuff doesn't seem to be coming up with the longevity of the old gear.
So the surface mount stuff.
Yeah, I mean, even my own stuff. I mean, I've had 3-4 different things now die on me this year. None of them are none of them are 24 months old. Not anything else. And it seems to be a thing. Whether it's I don't know whether it's stuff is rushed out quicker today or whatever, or the manufacturing is rushed more, whatever. But you know, it seems to be more difficult to repair anyway. So I don't know. It's just
Well, if you're making things to a cost point, which to a price point, and surface mount is clearly a much cheaper way to go, then you're going to inevitably end up with some compromise in terms of quality and robustness. And you were telling me a story, so I won't name names, but I will name the model, which was someone that had an MS-20, I believe it was, which died on them in the middle of a session. And they just happened to have an old MS-20, which they'd pour a cup of coffee in it, tip it up sideways, empty it out and carry on playing kind of thing. Whereas if you did that with any of the modern stuff, a glass of water into your X32, for instance, or a cup of coffee in that, it would be dead. You wouldn't be, or probably wouldn't be able to resurrect it if it was switched on.
Worth pointing out, public service notice here, please don't pour fluids into electrical items.
Yeah, please don't.
Or washing the bath.
Then you were old.
or washing the bath.
Happens.
Honestly, it's not good.
And it's really funny because what that does bring to mind is that the value of vintage synthesizers has been people have been wondering whether or not they go down because there's so many clones that have been made that are way cheaper. But if you know the clones are going to be breaking or are prone to doing that, then you're more likely to go and buy a vintage one and get it well maintained because it's likely to last. It's likely to be more robust, wouldn't you say, Ken?
Yeah.
But also there's the argument that if you can buy a 303 hardware clone, which you can for £100, and a genuine one costs on the used market £1,000, let's say. I don't know what the going rate at the moment is, but let's just say £1,000, here or there. If your £100 TD3 goes up the Swanee, do you spend £1,000 on an original, or do you go out and just buy another TD3 for £100? And you can do that 10 times before you've reached the cost of the vintage one.
Yeah.
And it's also about whether or not what you're buying is a cheap version, a cheap clone, or it's a well-made clone. So, for instance, let's just say an Odyssey, one of which is Korg and one of which is by another manufacturer hardware. And you know that one's going to probably fail much more readily than the other. But really what you want is the original. The original. Because if you're going to go out, certainly if you're going to go out touring, yes, open source firmware than closed source.
Apparently to get red wine out of open source firmware, you just use white.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly, and you just drink more of it. But it's an interesting one, isn't it? And at what point do old vintage ones that are so unreliable, and they're all getting a little older, unless you can afford the money to get them properly restored and back to out of showroom nick, then maybe it is cheaper just to buy 2 or 3 clones instead, or 2 or 3 newer versions of them.
Yeah,
it's a puzzle.
And
the curious thing is that something like, for instance, the Oberheim OB8 X, is it? Yeah, OBX8. That's about the price it was back in the day when they first started coming out, and it's a really robust, lovely, gorgeous thing.
I was going to say, if you buy something like that, you would expect it to last as much as the originals. But I might be wrong. I don't know. I haven't got one, and they haven't been around long enough for us to ascertain. I agree that there's probably some things out there that it's probably just better to invest in the real deal.
And wouldn't it be
properly
nice?
Serviced.
Wouldn't it be nice if more people actually that built these things actually did kick back properly, provide some sort of recompense to the original owners of these things, so that they could actually work with them to make sure it was done well, it had that quality. And I would pay for a new 2600 approved by, for instance, the Alan R. Perlman Foundation, If it was built, if I knew it had quality, it was a quality build, and they'd approved it, and they were getting something back from it, I would have no problem at all buying one. None.
Interesting. Yeah. Who knows? I mean, I guess it swings and roundabouts, really. I guess if you're out touring on a regular basis, and you want a 101 or a 303 or a 909 or an 808, just buy a clone, because in a live situation nobody's really going to know the difference, and if it breaks it's only a couple of £100 to replace it, whereas if you take...
And you can take spares with you.
And you can take spares, yeah. I mean,
and you never take a memory moog on stage with you anymore, ever.
Exactly. Oh dear. Right, where are we? So half an hour to go. Did we have anything else that we...
Well, we had a certain
oh yes, Kent. Kent. So
News
one of the things that
news.
we've spoken about frequently on the show is the Montage M8X. We all got very excited
Really?
by it, and two of us went and bought one. But of all the things, because do you remember when before the M8 or the Montage M as a line was actually announced, we said, oh, it'd be great if it had polyphonic aftertouch. Well, that box got ticked with one of them in the line anyway. Wouldn't it be great if it had that analog engine? Well, yeah, that box got ticked. If it's going to try and be like a modern day CS80, well, wouldn't it be great if it had a ribbon strip just like the original CS80? And that was one of very, very few things that it let us down on, was the inclusion of a proper ribbon strip. Think along the lines of ASM's Hydrasynth or Arturia's Polybrute.
And we just to interrupt really briefly, we also said, isn't it good they're bringing this out? How wonderful, because we can, we no longer have to face that issue with the original CS80 of the foot switch, which if you didn't have the foot switch plugged in or it was in the wrong hole, it would blow the power board. So there's not going to be any of that.
Yeah, that all got looked at. But they put a small little ribbon strip, as they did on the other one, just to the left underneath the pitch bend and mod wheels. And it's a zoned strip, and it can act as a switch as well as a ribbon, which is nice. But it is literally 3 or 4 inches long-ish, I'd say. So Kent, you said, I'm going to see if I can maybe personally circumvent that limitation somehow.
Yeah.
And tell us what you bought, and tell us how well that worked.
I bought I suppose you would call it the Earwave.
Earwave,
ribbon
we
strip.
both bought the same thing, didn't we?
Yeah. And it ended in the M8X no longer booting up.
Crapping its pants.
Yeah, essentially. It would just hang during its boot process. It wasn't a good idea using the USB on the back. It's resolved, but even so, I still got a long way to go because the ribbon strip does not act like you would expect it to.
Right.
Which is a pain. There's things that need to be done. If you go the U-Wave route, I have to download and install a thing called Cyclone 74.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's these text files on a server that allows you to set up an editor to assign the various things on the ribbon controller to speak in MIDI to various keyboards. And the whole thing's just become an absolute nightmare, and I don't want to know anymore.
But
what you're saying is that the ribbon controller has to be connected to a computer.
Yes, it has to be
then
connected.
onto
and then pointed,
rather than being a bog standard MIDI controller that just transmits.
Yeah, you can't plug it straight in. And if you just try and do sort of like, this bloody ribbon controller came with mini USB-B, the USB port that nobody likes. And even when you convert that to mini, straight to 5-pin DIN MIDI and plug it into the MX8, obviously then it's not powered and doesn't work. all is not lost, because although it has a little synthesizer built into it, I think it's a 12-bit synth that's built into it, it's not bad. The audio out on it is also doubles up as a CVN gate out, and therefore I will be able to plug it into something like the System 55 over there.
Okay, so yeah, so
But what we don't know yet is whether or not you're plugging the USB into the back of the M8X. I got that out, didn't I? M8X.
Yeah.
Whether or not that was responsible, or whether or not, as we discussed, to actually get it to work, you have to go into utilities, and in utilities in advance, there's a little thing which says use essentially either montage USB drivers or generic. And of course, because it wasn't a montage thing, you selected generic, and it died after that. So we don't know if it's the bug in the firmware, or whether or not it's something that happened because of the input port, do we?
Well, when I put the firmware back on, which allowed her to boot up, so obviously the firmware got upset, I did put it back on generic again and booted it up, and it was fine. So it wasn't that. It wasn't that. So it just doesn't like anything plugged into those USB sockets that are not a pen drive or a hard drive.
And do we think, therefore, that... I mean, I'm discovering that it feels like... This is a great instrument, but it feels like it's the first version, and it feels like it needs a major firmware update sometime soon, doesn't it?
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. I mean, I think it might be more of a case of the machine is designed a certain way, and you use it a certain way. There's more to be discovered. I mean, the ribbon controller works on it now, but the ribbon controller doesn't work the way you'd want it to.
In what way?
Well, for instance, going the whole length of the ribbon strip is one tone. Yeah, it goes up one note.
oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's not what I was looking for at all.
Well, no, 'cause it's not.
No, exactly. So, I mean, if I connect it to a computer and throw it to a bit of software where I can change the scaling.
You can do that with Cubase, that use one of the MIDI modifiers.
Yeah.
But it's
So I could do that
then
and then
you've
go
got to
through
do
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but then you've
so
got to
you've
have a
got to do that.
computer connected
It
to
all
do that.
becomes very...
It all gets a bit like, I mean, it's look, I mean, it's working. It'll do that. You do. But when
That's
you go,
connected to...
hang on, I hold it right. Yeah. That's it.
So it's just one tone.
Yeah. So there may be something in the
Looks cool.
setup. Yeah, it's all right.
Well, I was going to say more like...
No, Luke, I am your father.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, all well and good. There may be a parameter in the massive setup system that there is in this to maybe increase that. I don't know. Maybe
You have
maybe
to set
Manny
the-
knows.
You do have to set the parameters for the ribbon controller, whether or not it reads that as ribbon controller information or something. You've got to work out what information is coming in, don't you, first?
Well, I mean, no, it did glide straight away. It knew what it was.
It knew it was a pitch bend of some sort, but does
Yeah.
it think it's pitch bend rather than ribbon, or what? You know, that's what I think it's just getting confused about what.
I think what it is
coming in.
kicking out is CC pitch bend.
So you need to modify that in the computer
Yeah, and then
so it
send
spits
it.
out the right CC.
or on here.
Yeah, this is probably the most niche subject we've ever covered on.
This is the Andrew and Rob support show.
Do the EPROMs come with the little window?
Don't look at me for support. Unless you're looking for a 18
Yeah.
hour girdle.
Yeah, there's at least one other person on the planet going, oh, that was good to know.
Well, look, yeah. There's 150 odd people watching the show right now who now know that connecting a ribbon controller to a Montage M8X is not an easy thing to do and should be approached with caution.
Synth Addict said about the Dofla Trautonium. And I think I looked at that and there was some reason why I thought that wouldn't work. And I can't remember what it was. I mean, whatever it is, you've got to power the ribbon cable, and then you've got to find a way to take MIDI out of it into the back of the montage as MIDI.
But this,
Yeah,
I just think Yamaha really did miss a trick here, because on two counts, one, a decent sized ribbon controller strip on a Yamaha synth that now has this analog engine that doesn't purport to be a new CS80, but come on, we all know that it's capable of doing great analogy things. Surely a ribbon controller would have been a nice little thing to have, because it's not like there aren't synths out there on the market today that don't have ribbon strips. Polybrute and Hydrasynth for two examples, built in, they work fantastic. The second thing, of course, is the one that I keep going on about, is the fact that they didn't put aftertouch in the 6 and the 7, which they could have done. A synth action poly aftertouch, sorry, not they do have normal aftertouch, but synth action poly aftertouch, again, it's not like that's not being done elsewhere. So why didn't they? I think that
would detract sales from the 8.
But would it though?
Would they?
Well, if it was the 80 you're after, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but
why don't they just put out a ribbon controller expander? Just put it out as a like a foot pedal.
Yeah.
If they did that, I'd be up for it and I'd buy it straight away.
I don't think it would have eaten into the sales of the 8, because the people that buy the 8 are the I would want the 8. Yes, I'd like the poly aftertouch, but I want that nice, fully weighted action. That to me is why I would buy an 8.
Well, look, if I could get this to work exactly the way, even if I end up, see, now there's that. Now, if I could get it to work in such a way, like, for instance, if it was working off of the original strip, I could jump off the back of that in some way. I would take the M8X apart, and I'd take the front panel down to the workshop. I'll put it on the CNC, and I will cut out the slot, and I will fit the strip into it. Done.
Yeah.
320 quid for the
dirt
R2M with manual and power supply. Do you know that might just be what I'm going to end up buying?
I know what I'm going to buy. I'm going to buy one of these for Kent. Let me just get this up here for him.
A stylophone.
Yeah, I'm going to get you one of them. No,
I really want one of them. Don't worry.
If I can find. Why isn't it doing that? Oh, Google in your WebP image protocol. You can shove it up your backside. It's a T-shirt that just says "I void warranties."
Yeah.
Peter Vogel's got one of those, and when I saw it, I wet myself, because that is just so him.
Mate, my Dell monitor is in warranty, right? And I've been in contact with Dell about this flickering and ghosting.
Yeah.
And they're gone, oh, that's a shame.
Oh, jeez.
That's all I've got so far.
Have you tried that? The ribbon from the Hydrasynth on the M8?
I had thought about it, but it's not indicative to how I've got everything set up. But I know what you mean.
It's worth trying. It would just be nice to know if an external ribbon controller can be configured to work with the montage. Just doing a MIDI straight out the back of the Hydrasynth into the montage and see if it controls it.
Local good ASM representative says
doubtful.
Yeah.
Because why?
Is that a algorithm? Because why? X equals because why? No.
Well, it works. Oh, hang on, does it? I'm trying to remember now if it actually sends to, like, if you're playing a software synth, whether it does it. I don't think it does.
Ah, here we go.
Set your ribbon up to transmit CC16.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Didn't know that. We'll give that a go as well.
That's a learning curve and a half.
Thank you, Manny.
I miss the days of carbon strips and gold springs.
Yeah.
And that's just your teeth.
Don't we all?
Miss those days.
Indeed.
And 3 wires.
Okay.
Simpler times.
So yes, the M8X, we found the first. Yamaha, just make a ribbon controller that can be stuck on it, and the 7 and the 6, because why
Yeah.
wouldn't you? And then I will buy one. I don't care. Just do it so that I can buy one.
Yeah, I think
Make
the
it feel
Montage
like
handles that
CS8.
ribbon differently to
It does. I want Yamaha to
other
make
manufacturers handle the ribbon.
that, and I don't see why they wouldn't. So, well, except that they won't. But
Yeah.
in the meantime, Dofler.
Yeah,
Dofler.
give it a go.
So, what else?
Tune in next week to find out how Kent has broken his M8X again. He didn't break it, he just had to reboot the firmware.
Tune in next week to see that 8 voice on fire behind him.
Oh, mate, you want to see what? Oh, mate, you want to see what is coming? Unbelievable! I'm beside myself with I've got a Fender Rhodes Stage 78 coming.
78 or 70,
73.
73. Beg your pardon. Where did I get 78 from?
88 or 73, yeah.
Listen to your record collection again.
Yeah, and it's out of Nemo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
The.
and it's up for sale.
Oh, my goodness.
And I've gone, fee. And then it got worse.
You can get a plug-in.
Well, it got worse. Then Tiny said, he goes, yeah, but I've also got the CS80 out of Nemo coming. We're like,
But he had
Oh.
a few, though, didn't he? Didn't he have 3?
yeah, but this is out of Nemo.
But
this is
it was the one that was in the name.
The China.
You worked on that one, though, didn't you, already?
No, I lent him mine. Because he'd left his one, I don't know where, in Paris, I believe. And he was over here in Metropolis. And he goes, oh, I should have brought my 80 with me. So he phoned up Tiny. He said, can I borrow an 80? He says, oh, well, your old one, it's out. It's somewhere else. I think Coldplay borrowed it or somebody. But I know somebody who's got one. So hence, he phoned me. Can I borrow your 80? I went, yeah. So
Very nice. Good enough.
Very nice.
Okay. We've got about 15 minutes. We've got about 15 minutes left on the show. I guess this is probably as good a time as any to make a little announcement. I'm pregnant. No.
Again,
yeah. So you might remember, and I'm beginning to get a little concerned, but you might remember it was about 2 or 3 years ago? I think it was 2, because we haven't been going for that. So I think it was about 2 years ago. We unfortunately had to say goodbye to Chris Synth, who was one of the original gang that started up this channel. It was myself, Chris, and Ben. And Chris decided to step back, and that was sad, but we respected his decision to do that. And he went and some while after started up another channel, which unfortunately seems to have kind of taken a very long hiatus. So hopefully that'll be back soon. But anyway, and that happened at the end of 2020 or 2021. Must have been 2021. And a similar thing has happened again at the same time of the year. So I'm beginning to worry now. So it is with great sadness and a huge amount of regret, but also a large amount of good memories that we unfortunately have to say goodbye to Mr. Ben Simpson, who has decided equally to step back from the show. He's not been around, as you regular viewers will know. But Ben has decided to focus his efforts elsewhere, that he's got lots of different things that he wants to be taken care of, and ProSynth Network is kind of not part of that anymore, and completely respect that. And he went to great lengths to point out that it wasn't anything. It wasn't a personal thing. It wasn't a thing to do with clashes of personalities, and he still loves us all. And it was just just one of those things. And as people are pointing out in the chat, Ben plays in an incredibly popular band that are playing lots and lots of gigs, and of course Friday nights are very popular for gigs. It's just one of those things. And whilst when we decided to make the change to Friday a long while ago, because I think we originally were on a Sunday, and then we changed a couple of times. We picked Friday because that's what everybody told us they would really like, so we did it, and it seems to have worked very well for us. And at the time I said to Ben, I said, look, are you sure because of gigs? And he said, no, I'm sure that we can work around it. He stuck at it, bless him. I mean, he really did put a huge amount of time and effort into it, and he's now come to a point now, and I don't want to be putting words into his mouth. Equally, I don't want to be reading out the emails that we've banged around. And look, trust me, we're all on very good terms. This isn't nobody's fallen out with anybody or anything, and I've been assured of that repeatedly. So Ben's still the cool MF that he's always been. We love him to bits, but unfortunately, as far as ProSynth Network is concerned, he's taking his leave from it, and we'll be concentrating on lots and lots of other things. And it's very sad, I have to say. Ben has been, Ben and I met online on Tinder. I swiped right, so did he. And no, we connected. This was completely random. We were on an Akai users Facebook group, and Ben, I didn't know Ben at the time, but he put a post up saying, has anybody got OS 2.14 for the S6000? And I said, yes, I've got it here. Oh, fantastic. Could you send it over? I said, I'll do better than that. I will make you the floppy disk. And because I've got piles of the bloody things. So I made him a floppy and I sent it in the post. I've always made Ben floppy. But I sent it to him in the post, and he was just like super thankful for it. And that's how we became friends. And then he was the one that came up with the idea for the Facebook group for the, it was a different name. I don't really want to go down that path again. But it wasn't the best name in the world. And we had a little meeting and we decided on ProSynth Network, and that's what it's been ever since. And then it was in March of 2020, when COVID was just biting around the world, that I suggested to them we could do a live stream. And here we are, 196 weeks later, without a gap in our schedule. I don't believe we've ever missed a week. Here we are. And Ben has been a huge and significant part of that, and I want his contribution to be recognised forever. James says, yeah, Ben was the funny one. He was. He is an incredibly funny guy. I've spent many hours with him. I've shared aeroplane flights with him and hotels with him, and he is an absolute gem. And I'm really sad that he's decided, but I completely respect his decision. So that's our announcement. And by all means, if you're friends with Ben online, then do drop him a note and just say hi. He is really, really busy, so don't expect an instant reply, because he's up to his, he's quite small, but he's up to his eyeballs in work and stuff, which is really good. But he's got lots of things going on. So, and I've told Ben that as soon as if he wants to talk about these things, come and tell us all about them. So, yeah, there we go, guys.
What a wanker!
Indeed,
What a wanker!
He'll always be with us.
What a wanker!
Yeah.
He'll always be with us. So yeah, Ian says, does this mean I'm coming to Super Booth with you now? Well, you got to persuade me. You don't want to get on a flight with Jim Glue though, because you might get thrown off, because he brings weird electronic shit on board. So yeah, look, Ben, I don't know if he's watching this or if he's going to watch it on catch up, but if you are, Ben, I'm going to look straight in the camera. We love you. I love you. I am so upset that you're leaving, but all the best. Thank you for everything. There you go, guys. I don't know if you want to say anything.
Kent.
Be missed, mate.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting it at all, I must admit. So, yeah, what can I say?
But, Andy, anything you want to add?
I did, unfortunately, I came in at a time when he was sort of decreasing how much he was there, but every time he was on, he added an energy and goodness that he just has this really, really good soul. And I always look forward to him being on. And I'm going to miss him as well. I really am going to miss him. And I think you did an enormous thing for this show, Ben. And I hope we can maybe occasionally in the future have you back on as a guest. It would be good to, regardless, it would be good to have you.
This is not.
But thank you.
Yeah, this is
From
not
the bottom of
goodbye.
my
This
heart.
is au revoir. See you soon.
I hope so.
I mean, I've got loads of stories that I could tell you about Ben, like coming back from Superbooth. There was 2 stories in particular I'm going to regale, and Jim will be able to back me up on at least one of these. On the Saturday of Superbooth, we decided not to go to Superbooth because we'd done Thursday, or half of Thursday and all of Friday, and we'd pretty much seen everything we wanted to do to see. So we decided to go and hang out with a friend of mine, Mark Reeder, and then grab our bags, jump on the S-Bahn, go to the airport, get on our plane and go home. So we get on the S-Bahn and we get to, I forget the name of the stop, but we get off at this stop. We have to change trains because the S-Bahn only goes this way, and then we get on the airport train, the airport express train. And so we're sat on the platform. There's myself, there's Jim Glue, and there's Ben. And we're sat there, we're chatting away. We're buzzing our little boobies off because we've had a great weekend. And the train for the airport comes in, and so we get up and we walk, 20 yards from one side of the platform to where the train is. We get on this train. Every other person in the world is on this train. It's hugely packed. So we get on standing room only. We're in actually that part of the carriage where everybody stores their bags. So we're stood there and we're holding on, ready for the off. And an announcement comes on to say, "Oh, we've got a slight delay, but we'll be leaving soon." At which point, Ben goes, "Where's my bag?" And we look down, expecting him to have his little, because he's got just a little wheelie suitcase, and it's not there. And we look out onto the platform, 20 yards away, and there's his case just sat on the platform by the bench. Oh, bloody hell! So he gets off this train, and I'm like, "We're going to be leaving any second now." And Ben shuffles across the platform, grabs his thing, and hurtles back towards the train. Luckily, to a degree, the train didn't go and was actually stopped and cancelled because of a train in front of it had broken down. So thankfully, nobody missed their train. What then ensued was everybody getting off the train, going downstairs outside the station, having to hail or book an Uber. Which Jim did for us, and eventually the Uber gets it. And there's the 3 of us like this in the back of this Uber, driven by some, I think it was Turkish, and just drove like mental around the streets of Berlin to get to the airport in time for our flight, which was great fun. The other story after that was that we got home, we got back to the UK, and we said goodbye to Jim, and the plan was that Ben was going to come and stay here with us. Because we've got a spare room upstairs, and he'd stayed the night before we flew out. So I said, look, we're not going to get back till silly o'clock. Stay the night and go home on Sunday. And we get here, and I don't know what time it was. It was quite late UK time. And Ben says, "Do you know? I think we're going to go home now." I live in East Anglia, and Ben lives in near Warrington, because he'd got a hot date the next day. So Ben, just after 3 days in Berlin, walking miles and miles and miles, after running around the railway station, getting his bags, and then having this long flight home, he then decides, because he's got a date, he's going to drive into the early hours of the morning. I don't know what time he got home, but it was probably getting light. But that's Ben. And I think a lot of people will probably say that, that's Ben, that's our Ben. But an absolutely lovely, lovely bloke, and very sad to not have him here although, you know, the fact that he's not been here for a while because of, you know, that stuff, it's kind of, I think, lessened the blow somewhat. It's not a sudden thing. But yeah, that's it. And thank you to all the lovely messages. I hope Ben watches this and sees all of these messages. So there have been some lovely donations, and there's also been some lovely comments from Ken. He says I'm done with this show, nothing worth watching if Ben is gone. To which he then added, I also noticed a lack of Chris, which has deeply offended me as well. When I tune in, I expect a full roster ready to dance at my whim.
At your what?
At his whim.
A whim.
Cool whim. Yeah.
Whim.
So thank you for that. We've also had a raft of donations. We should get people to leave more often.
So yeah,
thank you, Johnson. Yeah, thank you, Johnson, for your £5 a drink on behalf of Ben. We shall be toasting you, that's for sure. Dr. Mike Metley, end of the era. Very true, it is. We love you, Ben. Stay in touch. From Nippy Combat, $20. Cheers to Ben. Best of luck from Ohio. Brian Kehoe sends $10 our way as well. Thank you very much indeed. Andrew Brooks has sent a $5 Guinness for Ben. I will buy that for him when I see him again. And Kissing the Machine says, cheers, Ben. That's £10. So anybody else want to leave? We can go to the Bahamas. You shall go to the ball.
yeah.
Can I have a beer?
Yeah, I'll send
After
you
what happened last time, no.
Well, yeah, I know, but you know, it was only one night in the cells.
Yeah,
And
still 6
Estados
killings.
sends £10.
Estados.
Thank you, Ben. Indeed, couldn't agree more. And thank you, Dina. $10 from Dina.
Thank you, Dina.
Lovely. Thank you very much indeed. So yeah, that's our news. And what I was saying earlier about the channel, that we are carrying on, we will carry on regardless. What we are going to try and do a bunch of things this year and get things like merchandise and T-shirts sorted. And maybe we might change a few things up. I've had a few ideas. We need to sort of put our heads together and come up with some ideas. I've got one that I'm kind of I've got a semi for it. Semi excited.
I've got a semi.
So yeah, we've got little things. And what I've decided to do is, I might have mentioned last year that I've started my own business. And that's to cover my jobs like writing and podcasting and all that kind of stuff. And that's purely for tax purposes. And for that very same reason, I'm going to be bringing ProSynth Network kind of under that umbrella so that we are legitimate in terms, as far as the tax man is concerned. So we will, it will kind of become under one umbrella. And that is just for legal purposes and nothing else. We will carry on and do carry on ProSynth Network. So thank you, Dane MLH, for those who remain. Thank you very much indeed. So yeah, we're going to carry on. We're going to do more stuff, cool stuff. As long as you carry on watching us, we'll carry on doing this rubbish.
Plans are afoot.
Indeed. And a hand.
Plans are afoot.
Yeah, there you go. Plans are afoot.
Oh.
That's the foot.
Indeed.
Good.
I don't think it's kind of. I don't want to sort of end on that, but that is where we are.
Well,
It's
don't.
9 o'clock.
So
no,
for
I
your
need
service, for your great humour, for getting this whole thing going with Robbie, for all the joy you bring, Ben, big love, mate. Thank
Absolutely.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, hearts and all that stuff. Thank you.
Look at that.
Really.
Yeah. So there we go. And so we will be sorting different. I'm looking at things like memberships and Patreons and trying to figure out which is the best way of continuing to fund what we do, because obviously we rely on people's funds to help us get through. Because this stuff isn't free, as many shows will tell you. People like ourselves and Ramsey and that, even Nick as well. He relies on sponsorship deals and advertising and stuff like that.
So expect I'm a pro synthesist. Get me out of here in a matter of weeks.
Yeah,
Synth Island.
indeed. But hopefully, we use those funds to bring you quality entertainment for at least
Britain's
2
got
hours every week.
synths.
Yeah, Britain's got synths. So there we go. Anything else you want to add, guys, before I wrap things up?
We've got some good guests lined up for the year, haven't we?
We have.
yeah.
We're starting to get some good names in. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some significant people.
Significant.
Significant. Yes.
I'm making another
And
to
as
add.
somebody said in the chat room, can we have one of these for Ben? Happy to oblige.
What a wanker.
Yeah.
I mean, who can forget that moment? What was it? It was Record Store Day, wasn't it? And I'd come in remotely.
That's
Don
it.
was co-hosting, and that was a classic line. If you haven't watched that, I can't remember what episode number it is, but dig that.
Genius
out.
timing.
It was
genius timing. It couldn't have been
perfect comic.
any
And he had
better.
a knack of that. Has
Yeah,
a
he
knack.
did.
God, we're talking about him in the past tense. Like he's gone. She hasn't. He's still around. So yeah. Anyway. This year we'll see some hopefully some interesting changes, and of course myself will and others will be at events around the country and around the world. Well, Berlin this year. So come and see us there. All right, and gentlemen, I think that's about it. We're going to end before I A, weep, and B, pee myself because my medication's kicked in and I'm really needing to go. So, gentlemen, thank you ever so much. Much afoot for the next week
Yes.
for either of you.
Indeed.
Busy.
Yep.
First full week in it back.
I think everyone's got lots on. Just coming back. I know you've had a very busy week. Next week's not going to be any quieter.
Actually, next week might be a little quieter for me, but it was just like I had something to finish this week, and then my boss, who I'm preparing this thing for, where'd he
bye.
go? Oh, he just disappeared. I didn't do that. That wasn't me. My boss said she wanted something by the beginning of next week, but then now she's put it back to Wednesday.
No idea.
Anyway, next week might be a little quieter for me, but new toys to play with, that's always good fun. Tomorrow I'm dismantling half of the studio so that when the plumbers arrive on Tuesday, look, the thumbs up, when the plumbers arrive on Tuesday they can access the radiator, which is now covered up by the DX1, a Fairlight and this desk. So all of that's got to move. So I'm not looking forward to that at all, but there you go.
Good luck with that.
It might give me a chance to actually plug some of this stuff in. Who knows?
I may be getting cameras mounted above this
yes,
thing and
Nice bit of
over
mounting.
these things so that we can actually do some proper.
I need to do that as well.
This is
Get a
what it's
proper
all
thing.
about. Things.
Indeed.
We'll get to that maybe.
Coolio. All right. To everyone that's watching, thank you ever so much for your patronage. It's welcome as always. We love you all, and we will be.
They are
will be
patronising, aren't they?
I know. What I need to do warm-ups, vocal, mouth warm-ups, because
Oi, oi.
behave. So we will be back, same time, same place next week. Take care, everyone. Have a fantastic weekend, and look after yourselves. Much love to all of you, especially if you're like Mr. Musines Ben, who has currently got COVID. If you're suffering from that in any way, I hope you feel better
bless him.
soon.
Get over it soon, yeah.
And take it easy. But until then, we will see you same time, same place next week. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.